This is the lesson on partitioning a segment. We started the lesson with the midpoint formula. To do the midpoint formula, you need to know the two endpoints here. So I have an endpoint at 0, 2, and I have an endpoint here at 3, 6. The midpoint formula takes your x's and adds them together, so 0 plus 3, and then divides them by 2. Takes your y's, adds them together, 2 plus 6, and then it's going to divide it by 2. And so what you're going to get here is 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5. And then you're going to get 2 plus 6 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. So this would be considered your midpoint, 1.5, 4. If you look at it on the graph at 1.5, 4, it does look like it creates the two congruent halves. So you should eyeball this to make sure that what you get as your midpoint really does look like it's in the middle of your line segment. Then you were also given a midpoint and an endpoint, and you were asked to find another endpoint. You've got to go back to your midpoint formula, which takes x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and y1 plus y2 and divide it by 2. And that should equal your midpoint here, your -1, 2. So you can treat this as if it's x1 and y1 and plug it in. What it will leave you with is to solve for y2. So if I plug this in for x1, I get 3 plus x2 divided by 2. And I plug in the 0 here, I get 0 plus y2 divided by 2. And that should equal the ordered pair -1, 2. At this point, you want to break it into two separate equations. The first equation would be 3 plus x2 divided by 2 is equal to -1. And the second equation would be 0 plus y2 divided by 2 is equal to 2. To solve this, you're going to multiply both sides by 2. That will cancel. And you're going to get 3 plus x2 is equal to -2. Subtract 3 from both sides, and x2 is equal to -5. On this one, again, you'll multiply both sides by 2. These cancel. And you're going to get 0 plus y2 is equal to 4. So y2 is equal to 4. So now you write your final answer as an ordered pair, -5, 4. To check, you could add your endpoints together and divide by 2, and you should be getting your midpoint. And then the final thing that we did in class today was we learned how to partition a segment. You have to pay attention to what the segment order is. Whatever letter comes first, that is your x1, y1 value. So be careful. A is going to be treated as our x1 and our y1. So if we're partitioning this segment in a 1 to 4, this is an A to B ratio. So you plug in your A, which is 1, over my A plus B, so 1 plus 4 is 5. Times the difference of my x's, so x2 minus x1. 3 minus 8 will be -5. And then we would also add that to my x1, which would be 8. That all represents the x. So this right here would cancel. That would give me -1 plus 8, so this would be 7. We'll do it again for the y's. So you plug in your A, which here our A is a 1 to a 1 plus 4 is 5 ratio, times my y's subtracted, -2 minus 0, which would then be -2. And then we're going to add that to my y1, so 0. So this right here, I'm going to multiply, I'm going to get -2 fifths, or that is also equal to -0.4. So here I've got my x, here I've got my y. So at the point 7, -0.4, I now have the point that partitions my segment in a 1 to 4 ratio. If we were to graph this really fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 0, and then we have 3, -2, we're saying that at the point 7, -0.4-ish, so right about there, it would partition this in the 1 to 4. And remember, A was here, B was here. So there's my one segment, and then there's 1, 2, 3. So it's a 1 segment to a 4 segment ratio.